So our intro wasn't working just now. Mm-hmm. Welcome back. We're Resistance Chicks. It's Sunday.
Yeah.
It's our world news.
I am so excited about this episode.
Today is the 29th of December. We are almost to 2020. We're literally days away from a whole new decade. Thank you. I got this for Christmas. A whole new decade. A whole new fresh start. But looking back on the last decade, the last 10 years, I feel like we see this movement rising and leading up to this great moment. And so today we're gonna kind of review a lot of that and to get you guys excited about 2020
and beyond.
Yeah.
2020 and beyond. That's what I want to kind of talk about. Really, when you look at the I want to say the 1990s. When you look at the 2010s. Okay, that was a decade that we weren't really, for me, it didn't feel like a decade. Because when you talk about the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. But then there's this, the decade that we're just finishing right now, the 2010s. You can't say the 20s, 30s anymore because that's
the 2010s.
You have to say the 2010s.
It was the 20-teens.
The 20-teens, the 2010s.
So I put it like this in the title just so that it would make more sense.
Yeah.
2010 to 2020, the People's Decade.
You didn't put in EU, Europe, or UK?
Okay, first of all, there's only so much room and you gave me three different titles.
But that was what I wanted you to put in the description, but that's okay.
I can change it after the show unless you want it right now. She texts me what she wants the pictures to look like and the title. And she's like, I got this working title that's...
No, it works.
It works for
now.
You can change it after the show.
Put stuff in the description. Put all the countries. Hong Kong, Freedom Movement,
Can
Yellow
I do
Vest.
it after the fact?
No, now!
Oh my gosh.
People can come and find us. People need us. They need this show. You need this show. I'm so excited about this show. The Yellow Vests. Brexit. Trump connected to all this because we're connected to you because our president is traveling all over the world. You've got, for better or for worse, people are saying, oh, Boris Johnson's a lot like Trump, or Modi is a lot like Trump, or Salvini's a lot like Trump. What it means is these leaders are embodying the great American principles that are universal. Okay? Guys, this decade, we saw a shift. Now, you have some crazy lefties on over here, okay? And they're going to come along. So I want you to feel bad for them as we move on to winning. Okay? Really, really winning. I want you to be gentle with your lefty friends because their liberal tears, once they dry up, they'll be so happy. Okay? They'll be happy in this movement.
They're going to need some Visine.
And
something to help with their
it didn't just start
dry
with
eyes.
And I want Michelle, when she's done with a few of these tags there, to bring up one of Nigel's most epic speeches, whichever one, bring up the wet damp rag or whatever. Who are you? And what was going on over in Europe, we didn't know anything about. But it was a movement that was happening here. Because it's a movement led by the Holy Spirit. And you can see this woven thread. And then you can see the countries that need a little bit more Holy Spirit. Sweden! Shake it on! You need a little bit more Holy Spirit. Germany! We need to cast the devil out of you, baby.
Oh my
You
gosh.
need some more Jesus. Less Sinterklaas, more Jesus Christ. Okay? All right? But then you have places like Poland and Hungary and Italy, and even in India, they have a populism that is rising. And you know what? I was listening to Ravi Zacharias. He is a evangelist from India. The Christianity movement. Now, some of it you could talk. I don't want to go into the different parts where they're not doing Christianity right here. They're not doing Christianity right here because in every.
You know how you do it right? Just Jesus.
In every. I want to do. We're doing generalizations here. Okay. because I've seen some videos about in Indian churches where they've go a little too far with the charismatic movement. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? A little bit Kundalini there. But anyways, they like the Pentecostalism. It goes well with the yoga.
It really
does. Like, seriously,
if you've never been to a Pentecostal church, you are really missing out on something.
But there's a huge movement of Christianity that just started in like the 80s and 90s and then 2000s, and I really believe that there's kind of a switch, because remember, you still have the caste system in India. It's still kind of, but not talked about. It's not as bad as it was. But Christianity giving everybody these individual rights, realizing that you're created in the image of God. Not, that movement is led in my belief by the praying Christians in India, because when they get saved, they get saved. Like, they've been looking for God. Like, some of the most spiritual people you will ever meet are in India.
No, that's really true, because the reason why India has so many gods is because they are seeking the one true God. And then when they find him, there are
and they're way more open,
these, like, kind of Buddhist priests and different that actually find Jesus. And they're like this, and the person that's witnessing to them will say, "You have found I have the one true God." And once they find that, something locks in them, like, this is what I have been seeking, and they don't let it go.
And once they find Jesus, it's so easy. Because in India there are so many gods, they don't have a specific. There's like thousands of gods. They don't have a specific mentality and culture that you have to follow.
Yeah.
You can follow wherever the spirit leads you.
Right.
You don't have that in a Muslim culture, because if you leave their religion, you die. But if you become a Christian in India, you may, people might look at you a little bit funny, but they are so open to spirituality. It's no Ravi. I'm sorry, I said Yavi. Ravi Zacharias. I just want to bring up his ministry here, because I listened to I listened to Ravi Zacharias on YouTube this week, and I'm actually happy that I did, because it fits in beautifully with our worldwide show, because I want to kind of take a lot of different regions here. And I want to talk about, and I guess I'm going to start with India here. And why is this important? Because we, part of this worldwide freedom movement is India electing a very kind of like Prime Minister Modi. Now, he has really put the kibosh on, radical Islamism, especially in the border there.
Well, India is a very peaceful place, and they're very peaceful people, and so they can't have any of that. Like, that's just not okay.
So, Ravi Zacharias here, I want to just bring up maybe Islamism, maybe just a little bit, so you can recognize. I'm going to tell you his testimony, because I was listening to Eric Matakis, and if you guys don't know Eric Matakis, you are missing out. So, if you want to watch some really cool interviews, I'm going to bring up this. He has a little show on. He's really funny. Oh, just dead funny. I wish I could. Matakis. How do I find this? Come on. Yeah, there we go.
Metaxas.
Texas. Eric Metaxas interviews a bunch of cool people.
And
he was on Tucker Carlson, actually. A little clip the day after I watched a bunch of his interviews, and one with Ravi Zacharias. And I want to bring this up just because it and we're going to India, so I wanted to kind of bring this up.
Existential reality.
I'm going to bring this up.
Because Ravi Zacharias never touches down long enough in the United States where you can capture him on film. Until today, somehow, I'm not sure, we got him into the studio in New York City. Ravi Zacharias, welcome.
Thank you, sir. What an honor to be with you, Eric.
I feel this is like really spotting the white buffalo or something, some rare beast that is never seen, fabled beast. And to have you with me in the studio, we've tried such a long time. Now, I know, Ravi, there's so many people that they know you. But there are many people listening right now who are saying, who's this guy? And I thought that's precisely why I do the program, because I have the great joy and honor of introducing folks like you to new people. So I think of you as an apologist for the Christian faith, principally, as an author of innumerable books. You really do travel around the world incessantly. I mean, you really have an international life. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. But there are many people who don't know your story, and I don't know that I've ever heard you tell your story. So I thought before we talk about what you've got happening now, I wanted to introduce my audience to you, to Ravi the man, and to tell your story. So tell us where you grew up, how it was you came to faith, and how it was you came to be what we call an apologist for the Christian faith.
And I'm going to tell you his story. So he grew up in India. And at the time when he was growing up, education was everything, and school was everything. And at the age of 17, he commits suicide. He attempts to commit suicide.
He came back from the dead.
He attempts to commit suicide, but he was not the only one to do so. Other kids in his grade and class,
it's happening like a lot over there.
They actually were successful, and because there's so much pressure school wise. Well, while he was in the hospital, a Christian missionary came into his room and asked if he could leave this or read some scriptures.
Okay.
Well, his mom said no, but he marked some scriptures and she read them to him, and later on he came back. Long story short, he comes to know Jesus, and then he was going to go study to be some hotel manager, and he ends up in Bible college, and he ends up at this Bible college with a lot of great early evangelists from the 70s and 80s, and he starts this giant ministry. It's international ministry. It's thousands of apologists and people who answer questions. He's an apologist is somebody who explains Christianity, and there is something to explaining Christianity to people. That's what Paul did a lot of times. Well, especially on the Mount there, where he's talking to the Greeks who have many gods, to sit down and explain the one true God to you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, who are following some sort of God, when you explain our God, it meshes with their spirit. And a lot of times, people just need to be shown.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Jesus throughout the Bible. And he comes to know Jesus, and at the time there were no pastors in India, and now there are pastors all over India, and there's an explosion.
It's amazing
of Christianity. And I'm not saying he's the only one. He was one that was called, and now he has an evangelistic ministry all over the world. And I want to make sure that when I discuss what's going on in India or Poland, whenever you see freedom or righteousness or holiness, you're going to see Jesus. Okay? And where does that come from? It comes from just individuals like you and me in whatever square we are in, presenting the gospel.
Right.
Okay? So I'm just going to play a little bit of
You look
so you
at
can
the
realize.
story of Jesus' encounter with Pilate in John 18. Pilate asks him the most important question he could have ever asked. He said, "What is truth?" and walked away. Imagine that. Imagine that. Standing in front of him who claimed to be the way, the truth, and the life. And Jesus had said to him, "They that are on the side of truth, listen to me." And so to you this afternoon, I want to present a message within the time that I have allocated here. And the message is, why do I believe Jesus Christ to be the way, the truth, and the life? I have written a lot on the subject. I've written a book on this called Jesus Among Other Gods. I've written one called Why Jesus. None of that material am I bringing to you here today. I'm just taking some existentially relevant ideas that I hope will form the impetus within your life.
And so what Ravi has an anointing to do is to make Jesus make sense.
Yeah.
It's not it's about faith, but faith starts with a concrete belief in something, right? And so I want you to take this and put this, because we don't have time to sit here and listen to 37 minutes in the description. But I want to hop all over here. So now that you know why I believe, one of the reasons why I believe India has transformed. This is Ravi's website. He's got speakers, events, he's got videos, and this is a legit Christian site that you can go to. Sometimes you're not quite sure. So I'm starting in India. This year we saw the rise and the re-election of Modi here. No, I don't want you to play. No, you can stop. No, you can. Okay. You can stop. I'm just gonna have to mute you if you play again, Mr. Ad. All right. So this is from Newsweek. Newsweek is obviously not right-leaning anymore. If it was a little bit in the 90s. No. But what's very interesting in this article is it talks about India's Prime Minister Modi, the nationalist populist movement is what I'm going to call it there. This was written, oh gosh, I think I have an alarm going off.
Upstairs?
Can you hear it?
Where's your phone? Is it somewhere far
I think
away?
it stopped. How many reasons that Trump is like Modi, and that's what you see, that when people want to smear a leader, they say, ways this leader is like Trump. But when you see it, the way we translate it,
right,
is the way that particular nation is going in the way of the populist nationalist movement.
Yeah.
Okay? So Modi has been referred to as India's Trump, which may be misleading because it was Modi who came first, winning in 2014 an Indian general election on a populist strongman platform that sought to redefine his nation as a society that prioritizes the majority Hindus above all others. That's what they're saying. Basically making a distinction between his radical Islamic neighbors. I'm not saying that any of these leaders by far are perfect at all. But what we're seeing is a rise. We have an of course we have an Indian politician dressed up as Hitler. Okay. And that's something that we've seen in the 2010s, right? You're going to see
the 20-teens.
The 2010s and 20-teens. You're going to see there are billions of people in this world. So you're going to have some fringe crazies. And then what the left does is take a few fringe crazies and say, this defines your movement. Your
Absolutely.
ideas are now all moot.
But we can't do that to them. They won't allow it.
Oh, exactly.
That's not me. That's just like a couple of weirdos.
Exactly. This whole idea of cancel culture, where if your cousin fifth removed once wore blackface, suddenly you're a racist.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's guilt, not a guilt by association. And then Alex Jones being banned because, we don't really know why. They didn't actually give a reason why he was banned. We know why he was banned. Alex Jones was banned because he's a truth teller, and he was really red-pilling the masses all over the whole entire globe. He was bringing to you guys all of this worldwide stuff that we're bringing to you because Alex sees the big picture. And I have to think, we're called the Resistance Chicks because Alex Jones' show says, you are the resistance. It was Alex Jones that started us to really get and start our own show. So I really always, if Resistance Chicks is wrapping up 2019, I always point to Alex Jones as a leader, as a he's the guy with the machetes cutting
the way,
cutting away the jungle brush, so the rest of us can go and look for all the treasures and the truth out there. There are a lot of people on the front lines, and if you guys come back, I think hopefully Uncle Jack has a little surgery. I would like to do a New Year's Eve show where I give you 7 principles, and maybe I'll drop some into
New Year's Day.
We'll see. Where I give you 7 principles on how we keep the momentum moving, how we can continue to win this culture war. Because in a battle like with the Revolutionary War, there's a moment where you might be losing battles, but you're winning the war. So there's a lot of battles that have been lost. Alex Jones being kicked off of the internet, Roger Stone being convicted, General Flynn is still out there with a trial, Trump being, maligned by the media, being impeached. There's a lot of different battles that we can look at. Brexit having to go through the how many times, fourth time removed to get things done.
Several elections.
There's a lot of battles but there's a winning and there's a moment, and I want to tell you guys that I'm going to, number 7 is whatever you do, don't give up.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'll just drop some of them in here as we're talking. Whatever, and then poor mom, she won't be able to slice it together as one beautiful, neat thing. Whatever you do, don't give up. The Bible says, be weary not in well-doing, for in due season you will reap if you don't give up. What if Nigel had given up?
Oh, my gosh.
What if Nigel looked at the writing on the wall and said, the media is too big. Right. The left is too loud.
Exactly.
But you know what he did that was different? I think this is number 4 or 5. He cared for and he cared about his neighbor. He has compassion on people. Do you think that Nigel Farage woke up one day and said, you know what? I don't like the EU. I want to leave. Nigel Farage wanted to leave the EU because
before they even entered the EU.
But he wanted life to be better for his neighbors. And he could see that people were hurting. And he could see that the EU was causing pain to businesses, to everyday people. He could see that the media was running, ramshod over the people and taking control. And so he began to take back the narrative. He began with little quips of truth with humor. Okay, when Michelle has that video, maybe we'll go to that.
Oh yeah, I forgot. What video was this?
Just one of his viral videos.
Sure.
As a memory of the 2010s of, the damp rag one would probably be best. But Modi is getting things done. His big thing that's like Trump is he is not allowing in undocumented migrants. Okay, he's got his borders. He's nationalism. This is a stupid article about him, by the way. But Prime Minister Modi and the rise of populism in India is a huge win there for you could call it the Far East. Okay. Then we'll move on, kind of maybe clockwise. And we're going to move to Hong Kong. And that is a place where we have really been, kind of hammering and highlighting for the past, 2 months, 3 months or whatever. And so I'm going to bring up, let's see, where am I? All right. Right now, a lot of these movements seem to be spawned by a thing, one little thing. In Hong Kong, it seemed rather innocuous. It seemed sublime. It was a little law that wanted to extradite Hong Kongers who China might seem to be, it's criminal.
Right.
And then when they took that off the bill, they're still protesting. But why? Why? Why are there still mass protests? Because Hong Kongers know the truth about China. Hong Kongers know that China is a horrible, awful communist regime. And what we saw in the past 3 years, I would say, definitely only in the past 3 years, 16, 17, 18, and 19, is the mask of evil is taken off. And one of the best things about a movie, in my opinion, is when you can tell the good guy from the bad guy.
Yeah.
Okay? I know a lot of people, especially liberals, like to say there's no real good guys and there's no real bad guys. But there are sometimes good guys and bad guys, and there most definitely is right and there most definitely is wrong. And I don't have my towel. Oh, I could stand on one of those cushions. couple of those cushions. I need to be. Michelle likes me to be taller so that I don't look so short next to her. And what the Chinese, those are gonna be perfect. 3 might work. With the Hong Kongers have. See, these are here. I'm gonna get real tall on you in a second. Not real tall. I'll probably squish them down. I've just squished them. They're kind of like bouncy. What the Hong Kongers did, their spirits rose up and they said, "This is our moment. This is our time. The world is on us. We can't let go." Okay, so Hong Kong is fighting Chinese communist rule. That's what they're doing. So if you can see it behind me.
Do you want me to pull it up?
I have muted this. Let's see if they. Yeah.
Is it on Facebook?
No,
I mean, on YouTube.
I didn't tweet it out, so you're not going to find it. It's not even on YouTube, and now it's gone. I was playing my video. I love when this happens. I love when this happens. Here it is.
PragerU.
That was a while ago. Here we go. I'm going to retweet it so you can bring it out for him.
Okay.
Turn my volume back on here.
All right. So Barry's getting me the best speech because I looked and I can't find a really good one. The damp rag one's only like a minute long. And I know it was longer than that when we covered it the first time.
Okay, Barry's awesome. I have a lot of links from Barry this year.
Here it is.
Okay. All right. So China, we have been really covering China a little bit more. It's my one of the things that I'm really
You mean to pause it?
Yeah.
While you're
one of the things that I'm really kind of excited about is going after China because they have been going after us and people and their own people for years and years and years. And so when the Hong Kongers decided to go after China, I'm all about it. Okay? All right, so go ahead. Loud! That's really loud. You can make it big.
What they're doing to Hong Kong should alert
Let me turn it up.
scare all of us.
No, that's
right?
good.
So Hong Kong is really an independent enclave, an independent super city state, if you will. And they have the British common law. They have a freer economy than the United States, one of the freest economies in the world. They have rule of law, political parties. They have proportional representation and elected
Nothing
government.
like China.
Totally different.
They are part of the British Empire forever, and that you see that influence. They are the West.
Right.
They're the West and the East, if you will.
Right. The Brits were there for something like 100 years.
Right. Until when was it?
1997. 1997 was, I believe, 97 was when the Brits handed it
Back over.
There was an agreement called the Basic Law, and it says that the Hong Kongers consider themselves Hong Kongers. They don't consider themselves Chinese.
Right.
The Hong Kongers have the right of autonomous rule for at least 50 years. After that 50 years, it's very murky, and I think a lot of this angst is coming from that. But they get to retain their judiciary, their independent judiciary, and so forth. The other interesting thing, I just got to point this out, is they're so committed to the common law and to rights that they have rotating judges from other Commonwealth nations. So on their Supreme Court, there was always at least one or two designated spots for somebody from Great Britain or Australia, New Zealand, Canada.
I didn't know that.
Yes, because they want to keep tied into the common law system. They're that committed to it. And the business community is very focused on that because it's, of course, brought a lot of prosperity, a lot of predictability in the markets, and personal freedom and liberty. But what's happening is the Chinese wanted to have an extradition agreement where they could come in and take Hong Kongers to mainland China for trial. But the Hong Kongers don't want that because they want the rights. They want to know what they're charged with. They want to know that they're going to have a fair trial. There's none of that in mainland China.
It would also harm business. I mean, people that are going to Hong Kong for business and then risking being extradited to China for something, I mean, it impacts them in a variety of different ways.
Absolutely. It would hurt their economy, but it would also chill their ability to speak out. Because as soon as you had something that was critical of mainland China, then they're being extradited to mainland China, and they probably will not be heard from again. So the Hong Kongers knew that would be the first step
Kelly says the volume's really
totally
low.
decapitating freedom in Hong Kong. So they protested, and it started with the umbrella protest, They were called the umbrella protests because they used umbrellas to block tear gas and whatnot from the authorities there. But then it's morphed into something else. And even though the extradition has been taken off the table by Carrie Lam, who's the chief executive there, that would basically be like a governor, a mayor in their system, and she's elected by their council, by their legislative body. She's not popularly elected. Even though extradition is off the table, the Hong Kongers still want other reforms. They want to be able to elect the chief executive, not from the council, but through the people, right? And that would probably get something that's much more pro Hong Kong independence, and I can talk about that. So there's other reforms out there that the Hong Kongers want to bolster themselves against mainland China.
Right, and the extradition thing, I mean, it was taken off the table for now, by the way. This wasn't like we're never going to come back to this. This was sort of you guys are acting up right now, so we're going to table this discussion for later. And I think that maybe it is that 50-year rundown that's got them feeling a lot of angst about it.
The Chinese can wait out the Hong Kongers, and they can wait us out. We got to remember what's going on in the whole context of China right now. They're in a fierce trade war with the United States.
Right.
So by taking pressure off the Hong Kong situation, it gives them more ability to focus on the trade war against us. So don't think that these two things are independent. Once this trade war is either won or lost, and the Chinese can refocus on Hong Kong, they're going to do it. Because they want a truly unified China from their viewpoint. That means Hong Kong, within mainland China, get rid of the one country, two systems, which is basically the basic law. They also want Taiwan back. And they're marching toward that to have a totally what they view as a reunified China.
Wow. All right. So you guys can share your thoughts about Hong Kong in the in the comment section. There's such a similarity to the Yellow Vest movement in France, but on a different level because. And we're going to get to the Yellow Vest in France. We're going to kind of make our way around the globe if we can. Going next to Australia. We're kind of... we should have wouldn't it be great if we had like a map? I think I want to get a world map here. So we can show you guys this movement is global. I'm so excited to... we've got this populist movement here.
That's America, by the way, whoever categorized that as the world map. They just showed a big, giant map of America.
Why can't I just get a picture? I just want a picture of
high resolution. Go up at the top.
Where?
Left.
I just want a picture of the world.
No, that's for sale.
Okay.
You're clicking on ones with price tags. There you go.
Okay. Just want a picture.
There you are.
I just want a picture. If you guys can even see the globe. There. It's actually not so bad.
It's not so bad.
Okay. So, we're seeing... We went to India, and there's a huge movement here in India. Like, I'm going to call it the Christians praying. Now, that's my interpretation. But it's a nationalist movement. It's a conservative movement. Modi is kind of aligning himself with Trump there. Then we have, in the small area of Hong Kong, affecting... that is, watch China in 2020. Because this is a huge, massive land. And those people are counting on the Hong Kongers to get them free.
Wow.
Okay? You're going to see some dominoes topple because the Hong Kongers are out there toppling the giant, the most powerful communist regime in the world. But I'm telling you something. Nobody thought... Go up here. Nobody thought that Russia would stop being communist, but now Putin is a daggum Christian, spreading Christian principles. I know it's the Orthodox Church, but it's a far cry from communist atheism.
Yeah.
Okay? They are embracing Christianity like nobody's business. And I want you to envision something with me.
Okay.
I want you to envision a leader and leaders in China who embrace Christianity.
Wow.
Okay. Well, and it's easier to imagine in Russia because they were Christian.
Right.
But it'll be a different kind of Christianity because the Christianity in China is led by evangelical witnesses and underground churches.
Right.
Okay. And that was actually how Russia was started. Mom's coming down. Patriot Galley has something to say. Oh, she's doing laundry. Never mind. She's not coming down. So we see this movement here, And I really believe that China is the next thing to watch. And so when we're talking about economies and we're talking about different things like that, I want you to start praying for them. Part of my 7 steps here, you can tell in the spirit realm, because there is a force and there are people who have their number one step is to remember those who have gone before you.
Wow.
And their witness before you, who laid a foundation. And the reason why I want to do a whole show on it is because Michelle has a video to share with you on our pilgrims with Kirk Cameron in the monument. And I want you to remember and think about worldwide people whose lives may have ended prematurely, but we know them now. Or maybe they did it in prematurely, but they were persecuted. We know their name today.
Their reach, their ministry, their calling.
Or whatever they've done. Whether it's Galileo, Christian, by the way. Copernicus, Christian, by the way. Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel. Martin Luther. Joan of Arc. The 12 disciples. Constantine. John Locke. William Wilberforce.
Oh, yeah.
These names, they're people just like you and me. But what they did is through God, they helped lay a foundation for justice and freedom and righteousness for people. So you can look to them and say, what did they do? And I want you to know that if you live that life, no matter how short of a life you live, a life of prayer and following God's will, then your name too will go down in history. And you can sow seeds. And since the 1980s, when I was born and I was a Christian and I heard about the persecuted Christians in China, I've been praying for them. And there are many Christians who were put in jail, and they prayed and they prayed and they prayed. And I believe that there's enough of a foundation here throughout China. There's enough Bible. I mean, like, all of our Bibles come printed from China. Pretty much, right? There's enough of the Word of God that gets out to people that there's a foundation there. Okay?
We grew up watching the China Cry.
Yeah, exactly. And number 6, and it's kind of a spoiler. I want to go in order, so you're lucky. I'm just kidding. They're not. Number 6 is this. The Lord spoke to me. Peace be still. Now, when Jesus was on the boat with the disciples, okay, so if you can have God with you, we had this movement with Brexit, I believe, is led totally by God. There are men who've gone before you. I mean, Margaret Thatcher, who was a devout Christian. You've got many people throughout history, in Great Britain's history, who were devout Christians, who love God, who prayed for you today before they died. John Wesley, people like that. And so
Blackstone.
you can have Jesus, and like you can have the Holy Spirit, you can have God, but you can still have a storm. And the storm is the EU. Okay? The storm is China's communist government. The storm is the media. The storm is Angela Merkel. The storm is the Democrats here. The storm is, the leftist people in Canada, who are trying to put people into, I don't know if they're jailing people, but that SSM whatever 103 wants to jail people or punish people for misgendering people.
It's unreal.
Yeah, so you've got these storms. And so what I want you to do is, if you're a Christian and if you're leaning towards it and you believe in God and you pray at all, I want you, when you think about China, when you think about, and this is what Nigel Farage does, and he doesn't even know he's doing it. What his humor says to the EU, what his humor has said to all these naysayers is, peace be still. Peace be still.
Yeah.
Peace be still. And a lot of people like to have peace by just ignoring situations.
Burying your head in the sand.
That's not the peace I'm talking about. I'm not talking about peace where you're just sitting out there and the birds are chirping. That's not the peace I'm talking about, because that's not the peace that Jesus said when he was on the water. Peace be still. That peace is the peace it's a weapon. You know, you talk about the armor of God. You have the breastplate of righteousness, a defensive weapon.
Yeah.
The shoes that are shod with the gospel of peace, and the gospel, use this gospel for protection. Okay, so the gospel of peace will give you protection. And what I want, if I could get a message to the Hong Kongers today, when the Chinese government comes at you, because it's the Chinese government, not the Hong Kong government coming after you, I want you to say, in the name of Jesus, peace be still. When you're thinking about the EU, when you're thinking about forces that are too big, say peace be still. And I want you to, because many of you are from all around the world, and you are having, to the media, to this, to that, you are suffering to different degrees. Hong Kongers are suffering to a greater degree. They need more peace quickly. But I want you to start in your daily life, okay? In these 7 steps, remember the people that have gone before you and what they've done, and know that what you do can be remembered. Know that you can sow seeds for future generations. Yeah. Okay?
That's what the Pilgrim forefathers did.
The second thing I want you to do is, when you're in a situation and God calls you out, like the Hong Kongers, into the streets, or Nigel Farage to get the country out of the EU, or people to elect Donald Trump, and you get out there and you're having a good time. Like we started our show in 2017, and it was so exciting, and Jesus called us out of the boat, and we are walking on water, and it's so exciting. And then all of a sudden YouTube it starts to shadow ban you, and then you get these copyright strikes, and then your videos get taken down, and then you're totally demonetized. And it's not just us. This is an example. This is everybody in this moment that Jesus...
And you go from every video getting at least 5,000 views to every video...
Don't say it! Stop it! Please don't say the number. I think that's demonic. Don't say numbers. I don't want to hear it. It doesn't matter. Don't look at the numbers.
Don't look at them.
Okay?
Don't look at the water. Look at Jesus.
Of God. That's what I'm trying to say.
I know. You just said water. You listed all these examples. I was adding one.
Well, I didn't want you to say, but look, and we're sinking.
But we're not, because now we're spreading on Bitchute, on JoshWhoTV, on all these other platforms. Okay, you can't just look at the numbers that we see on YouTube. We have risen up, and people have risen to the occasion. You got Mike Adams' platform.
We're approaching
everywhere
2 million, 3 million.
3 million.
We're approaching 3 million views on our Masfaith3 channel alone. Don't tell me people aren't seeing us. We've got people seeing us on Isaiah 58 Ministries. We've got people seeing us on Facebook. I can go to a Trump rally and people know who I am. And I'm not saying that because I'm anything. Right. I'm saying that throughout the censorship, the message is getting out there. So I don't want you to give up.
Exactly.
Okay, and your message, Jesus, save me. When Jesus calls you out on the water and you start to sink, and your foot you're experiencing, Jesus is going to call you. If you start following Jesus, he's going to start calling you out. When you're going for the Brexit thing, when you are posting, when you're watching our videos and you're posting things about, oh, there's only 2 genders, you're stepping out of the boat. Okay?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I know that I would almost say 9 out of 10 of you who post things, or a good majority of you, message me and say, my Facebook was taken down, I was timed out, I was censored, blah, 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 blah. And you step out. Now, the curse words don't count. Just don't cuss, okay? You know better. But to say the message itself, okay? And then you're like, well, wait a minute. Maybe I should say this. We've got, a dear friend of ours who operates a page on Facebook, whose page has been taken down multiple times for just memes. Trump memes, okay? Because somebody found out that it was a horrible page. So when you're in that situation, don't back down. Don't just sink, because Jesus called you out. You reach out, you look that he's right there, and you say, Jesus, save me. Jesus, save me. Okay, we're going to move on to some more.
Let me show them real quick, because I did pull this up for the screen share. So when we log on to our YouTube channel, I don't think you guys see this on our channel, but this number right here, I don't have my mouse cursor, but so Masfaith3, look to the right there. It's 2,972,784 views. Those are the ones that they haven't even censored. Okay, because we know we've had views that are not counted here. Okay,
Right.
so we are literally less than 28,000 views away from 3 million. And that's really exciting.
No,
that's so exciting. And so the other day, Patriot Galler had asked me to say once again, thank you to you guys who support us, who encourage us, who just watch the show to take in this information that is actually a I don't want to say a weapon because I don't want to get taken off of YouTube, but it is. It's a weapon that you can use against the evil of this world. This knowledge is power, and so that's how we're going to change this world.
A more positive article before we move on to Australia, mate, is this from Politico. At a rally like no other, Trump woos Indian American voters ahead of 2020. The president tried to appeal to the growing political force at a huge Howdy Modi event with India's popular leader. It wasn't your typical Trump campaign rally. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was just everybody went wild for Trump and Modi. It was hilarious. Instead of Make America Great Again hats, they wore turbans and Islamic caps. Women in traditional Indian garb danced to Bhangra drums, and tens of thousands cheering Indian Americans chanted USA and snap photos. President Donald Trump appeared at this big giant rally who attracted 50,000 American Indians from around the nation. You have never had a better friend than President Donald Trump. Trump said, "We thank you. We love you. I want you to know my administration is fighting each day for you." And Modi and Trump there holding this rally, and we're just going to play this little tiny clip here because this is how we roll.
That's a ton of people. Oh my gosh. That's bigger than a Trump rally. That is a lot of people. Oh my gosh. I'd say he's popular. You guys, it's not coming in as clear as I would like it to, but I think you get the idea. It's a whole like sports stadium.
Okay.
Wow.
So we have Modi and Trump there.
And it's this, and so just to reiterate why we're doing this show, it's a worldwide movement, guys. You can get excited if you feel like a minority where you are. You feel like you're being overwhelmed, and your fight for truth is not heard. Hold on, it's coming your way. It is spreading like wildfire, and it is so exciting. We are ending this year, 2019, on fire. We are winning, and it's exciting to win. I remember when we watched Alex Jones in 2017, 2016, and it was
so on
we're
fire.
We're winning. And now he doesn't have that because he's been hit so hard, and I don't blame him.
It's hard.
But Alex, we're still winning.
Right.
You may have temporarily been knocked back in your battle. I don't say that Alex has lost. Oh my gosh, he's red pilling people by the millions
every day.
Even
he's
now.
He's got a strong, and he's holding strong. It's kind of like hold the line.
He is holding the
line, and he's gaining a few steps.
Exactly. And because we're going to shift, we're going to come off of YouTube. We're going to change platforms. Who knows what is going to happen? Okay. Right. I had a prophecy that the Lord gave me. I want to say in 2015 that people God would give us words to say, and the whole world would hear it. And it's funny because when I wrote it down, I was like literally trying to think,
how would that be possible?
Way too advanced. I don't know, because I'm thinking like God projecting it to the sky. Like I had no idea how that. I wasn't thinking internet. I wasn't thinking television. I wasn't thinking anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when we started Resistance Chicks.
Yeah.
And we had no aspirations to get a worldwide audience.
No.
We literally were just going to make videos, and I was really just kind of thinking about America.
Yeah.
And then everybody around the world started sending us messages and supporting us. And you guys sent us, I've got in our studio, one of the reasons why we made this studio is so we can put memorabilia up from you guys from all around the world. This is a Polish hussar from Poland. I mean, we have so much stuff around here that is literally from all over the world because we are reaching the whole world, and it's not us, it's this movement.
Yeah.
God literally started this movement, and he has been, if you're watching us, you are part of it. He is pulling people from all over the world, come to the movement, come to the movement, come to my movement, come to my movement. And he called us to this worldwide
just like
movement.
the scripture that said, hey, the king put together a wedding feast, and he invited a bunch of people, and they said they didn't want to come. So you go to the highways
and the
byways, and you compel them in.
Right.
And that's what we're doing. We're bringing in transgenders. There's a lot of transgender. There's a few transgenders in the conservative movement.
Right.
Really interesting there. You've got a lot of gays in this movement. You've got atheists. You've got Mormons who are now mainstream Christianity because everyone's moving to the right. It's it's kind of funny the way everybody's kind of congregating around this idea of family values, freedom, and things like that. So
hang on Facebook Live right now, because we're live on YouTube, on Periscope, on Twitter, and on Facebook. We have Elizabeth here who says, wow, first time listening, great show. Word.
Thank
you, Elizabeth. I'm glad that you're here.
All right, so if you're just joining us, you know that sometimes we attempt to do a few accents. We are in no way ever making fun of anyone unless it's the bad guys.
More or less just making fun of ourselves, attempting to do.
But this now we're moving on to let me bring up my globe here at the Inner World Special.
All around the world.
Okay, so we did China, we did India. Now we're going to, my head's in China. India. Honey, child, we're going down over here.
Australia.
To Australia. Now, this was huge because Modi was not a surprise for a second victory. But Brexit and Trump and Scott Morrison, who we didn't know who he was, but now we do, was a huge shocker. A huge shocker. Okay?
Shocker.
So, that's I'm not saying chakra from, All right.
Yo, go.
This year, go read that.
This year belongs to the quiet Australians.
Here. The illiberal left grows louder, but ordinary people are having none of it. Okay.
Australia's spotless record of transitioning power without recourse to the violence remains intact unless you count the ugly incident with the corkscrew.
That was funny.
Okay.
You don't have to read that part.
Okay, because it's really, I have to discontort my face just to do it.
Yet as in Britain.
Yet here, as in Britain, there is a flourishing school of thought that democracy is failing. It is a belief that justifies resorting to extra democratic means to settle arguments, and raises the temperature of the social media debate. Happy country or hopeless country? Where one stands on this question...
Wait, stop. I'm going to
play... Happy country or hopeless country?
You'll get it when I play a video. It's helpful to hear it first and then to keep going on it. So...
It's terrible.
In Australia, they were looking for another, it's more cut and dry. Okay? In Australia, you have the left-leaning and the right-leaning people, just like in the UK and in Canada and here in the United States. So it's a little bit easier to follow. But they were in liberal tears because they did not expect Scott Morrison to win. The right-leaning, they really thought that the climate change was the way to go. We're all going to die, and let's have multiple gender bathrooms. But Australians are more sane than any of the Western countries.
I think. You know why? Go back to that map you had up, and then move your head. They all alone. They by themselves. Okay, they're not joined at the hip like the rest of us. Okay, they are able to be completely independent.
So when it comes to the gender madness and everything like that, that the left was pushing globally, there's a global push both ways, by the way. Okay, so there's the left-leaning globalist movement, and then there's the sane people. And there's a lot of sane people who are just sitting at home in Australia thinking, hey, this double gender thing, it just ain't right. I'm voting for Scott Morrison. Bam, baby! And so the left was left in tears. They called it the surprise win, the miraculous win.
It was great.
It was amazing.
It was fantastic.
So we're gonna.
Station Barbies were fired up as
It's coming out the television.
Just a second.
Okay.
What is hilarious about what we learned this year, new in Australia's election, is that they have barbecues at the. They just go in. It's like it's a party. We're going for the barbecue and have a vote. We're gonna have they call
Put
them,
a shrimp on the barbie.
they call it like they don't call them hot dogs.
Australia voted. Both sides had hoped for a taste of victory in what's been
She's
one of
British.
the country's closest
Looks
ever
Scottish.
elections. But defying all predictions, Prime Minister Scott Morrison clung to power with a win for his Liberal Party-led coalition.
I have always believed in miracles.
He's a Christian. He's an evangelical Christian. I love
I'm standing with the three biggest miracles in my life here tonight.
His children.
it. And his wife.
And his wife. And his wife.
And tonight we've been delivered another one.
Scott Morrison's victory is being hailed one of Australia's greatest political comebacks.
don't have
He
Australia.
campaigned by himself as his party fell out over policy. Many thought Bill Shorten's Labour Party would scrape through, but the polls got it wrong and Labour lost.
It is obvious that Labor will not be able to form the next government. And so, in the national interest, a short while ago, I called Scott Morrison to congratulate him.
There was upset for the coalition when former Prime Minister Tony Abbott lost his seat.
Come on, that felt good, didn't it, Julie?
Do they really do that?
This election has been unpredictable. The climate change debate has played a part, attracting votes in urban areas, but it was a harder sell in Australia's rural mining communities. Surrounded by his party faithful, the celebrations got underway. The polls had written him off, but Scott Morrison proved them wrong, achieving what many thought was impossible. He remained Prime Minister, one paper calling it a political miracle.
And this was just, it was like all overnight, and we're all just like, literally, we're all just like, Australia! We're in Australia! There's a political miracle! Let's go cover it! It was.
Well, and the interesting thing is that Australia is kind of large, and they're really underrated. Like they're not talked about very much. They don't hit the news very often,
Right.
And so nobody was ready for this.
Smiling as he walked across the stage in a Sydney hotel with his family by his side to claim victory in an election that many said he couldn't win.
I have always believed.
Minister Malcolm Turnbull, the Conservative leader, defied many polls that had him trailing Australian opposition leader Bill Shorten for most of the 5-week campaign. Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott lost his seat in Parliament. Abbott was Prime Minister during the signing of the China-Australia Free Trade Agreement. While Scott Morrison clearly savoured the victory, he also had an eye on the job ahead.
We've got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of work to do. And we're going to get back to work. We're going to get back to work for the Australians that we know go to work every day, who face those struggles and trials every day. They're looking for a fair go and they're having a go and they're going to get a go from our government.
With several seats in Parliament still too close to...
Okay, so we
That's
had
so
that. Let's
great.
go back over here to our happy country or hopeless country. Where one stands on this question depends on whether one is a quiet or a noisy Australian. Terms coined by the Prime Minister Scott Morrison to describe the contemporary cultural fault line in this well-blessed nation. You can go ahead. I'm sorry.
That Morrison's terminology requires no elaboration to an international audience, demonstrates how ubiquitous the divide has become in societies where open debate is allowed after 2 decades of 21st century life. In fairness, the divide has existed since history began to be recorded and so on.
Yeah. So the results of the post-mortem of the Labour Party held into its defeat suggest it is not unaware of its problem, but it is clueless how to fix it in a world where the act of virtue signaling threatens workers' livelihoods and comforts. We're going to cover here what we're covering really is the woke people hijacked the left, and they decided to take the whole left down with them, leaving the rest of us to be like, bye-bye. But they've been trying to take us down, like normal people down. Like they're trying to take everybody down. And you have these socialist policies, but that's not what led, that's not what's leading. The policies aren't what is leading populism. What's leading it is the idea that it's a religion.
Yeah.
We're fighting against this woke, liberal, climate changey, globalist, you have to do what we say religion. It's a religion. And people are like, no. And the one thing people are using to fight against that is true religion, which is Christianity.
It's the only thing you can use.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about Australia, and before you move on, I'm thinking about New Zealand. And they've been kind of taken over by the left. The progressives, the insanes, right? The AOC types, right? The virtue signaling. And so then you kind of see Australia, which you used to want to put New Zealand and Australia kind of in the same basket. And they have come out they're like Jacob and Esau, essentially. You know, they've come out completely separate. And you see, and I kind of wonder if the reason why Australia isn't taking this stance is the same reason that Italy, who was and still is very socialist, is kind of, they're coming away from that because they've been inundated by...
There's been a constant push, just like in New Zealand or in Australia, for these left liberal principles.
Well, I just meant the migrants that are trying to flood via boat or whatever, and the people that are living there go, nah, mate, we're not gonna have that. You know, they just don't want that. Like they're waking up to it. Like, dude, this is not
normal.
Australia.
Yeah, that was another sad thing to see. There was this Christchurch attack in 2010, which was a horrible attack on a mosque by a crazy man who we weren't allowed to share or talk about his manifesto or anything. Right. All we were allowed to know was that he was some sort of right nationalist who listened to Candace Owens. But when you read the rest of his manifesto, which is what we did, he has these crazy kind of socialist mentalities as well. And so I think that what we've seen in a lot of different shootings is that when you mix some of the you mix some of these ideologies, you can go crazy.
Yeah.
And in New Zealand, they lost. They had to hand in just last week 50,000 of their guns because one guy did something crazy. This is very interesting. Had the right to vote been stripped from citizens over 35, the Labour Party would have romped in Australia, and Corbyn would have won in Britain. And what is that an indication of? That's an indication of brainwashing in effect in the worldwide school system. Guys, we have got to start taking kids out of schools. You've got to start educating the kids because they're the ones the schools are what are brainwashing kids into this, liberal mentality. Morrison's victory, apparently against the odds, gives him command of a party more united than any ever. Where does that sound like? Boris Johnson, since 2007. He is odds on to become Australia's first prime minister, or he did become. This is an older article. Morrison has used his authority to declare war on the blob, as Michael Gove famously called the expanding and apparently indestructible bureaucracy. So he was busting up the bureaucracy and into the gender craziness. And so his list and his victory is pretty awesome there. I think what I want to do is continue on the globe here because I want to hit. We only have another hour, so we're going to go on the show here. So I want to make sure I get everywhere. So in the globe here, we're gonna go around, pretend we're in a circle, and we're going to go around here. We're going to go to Brazil before we go into Europe. Now, what happened in Brazil? We had this amazing victory in Brazil of Bolsonaro. He is a right-leaning... Listen, Brazil was incredibly corrupt. So corrupt. And, let's see. Bolsonaro came into power, and it was a blow. It was a blow to, let me see if I get a good article here, because So many articles here from Breitbart about Bolsonaro. I saw on Twitter, the Brazilians kept saying to Paul Joseph Watson, cover Brazil, cover Brazil, cover Brazil. And we're all like, what about Brazil? Here's an article. Amazon fires. Bolsonaro demands Macron withdraw insults before accepting aid. You had Bolsonaro blame Leonardo DiCaprio for the wildfires because it was like the climate people. He is like a no-nonsense guy. He came in. You know what? Let's see if I can find one of his videos.
So you bring up Macron, and one of our friends is learning how to make macaroons, and then she found out that there's another cookie that's called a macaron, and every time she puts it in the chat, I think she's making, I envision little Macron cookies, like, because every time I can't help it, I'm like, there's macarons and macaroons, and then there's Macron, who is not a cookie, but may crumble like one.
They call him far right, but he's loved in Brazil. Let me see if I can find Dark Times Ahead. That's the obviously the left wing. If I could, is that Tommy Robinson?
So somebody had said, do we believe in the flat earth? And somebody had said that they're having a hard time debunking it. And I just want, there's one word that you need to know to debunk the flat earth theory. It's called the horizon. Horizon, the arch of the horizon,
celebrating his election as
flat
their new
earth.
president.
So
The right-wing candidate defeated Fernando Haddad of the leftist Workers' Party with just over 55% of the vote. His victory caps one of the most polarizing elections the country has seen.
You are my witness that I will be an advocate for defending the Constitution, of democracy, of freedom. This is my promise. It's not one of a political party. It's not the word of a man. It's an oath to God.
In contrast to his declaration, the former army captain is not only a defender of Brazil's 21-year dictatorship that lasted to 1985, but a worst recession in history.
We need to start believing again, to have faith, and Bolsonaro brings that, the hope for a better future. We believe that everything will be different from now on.
Bolsonaro has pledged to boost the resource-rich economy, overhaul the country's costly pension system, and privatize state-owned companies.
That was the thing. He was getting rid of a ton of socialist policies. Okay, it's overrun by gangs.
Yeah.
Overrun by corruption, and he was going in there no nonsense. He even wanted to like arm citizens. I don't know if that ever got passed, but he wanted to make it so that citizens can be armed. He is definitely Brazil's Trump.
It's so exciting.
Like, when
and
Bolsonaro
they
won,
use it like a slur, though. They're like, he's like Trump, and the rest of us are going, wow, yay, Brazil! Yeah. You know, they're talking about it as if it's a slur.
Yeah.
Who knows what they're saying, but they sound very excited.
Yeah.
They're celebrating like it's like New Year.
Yeah.
I love it.
I wanted to find...
You have to know how bad it is, or how, you know, in South America, to understand what this means.
It was very interesting to see as people were... as there was one I wish I could find again where they kind of was actually interesting about who he was and what people really liked him for.
While you're looking for that on Periscope, and I don't often get to the comments here, guys, because I have 3 different comment sections that I try to watch. We do have Aussie Nick on here, and I see now you have an Australian here, and then I feel silly about my little accent here.
Oh, it's great.
He says, Labour in Australia, like UK Labour, walked away from working middle class and fixated with leftist PC agenda as politically correct. Easy for you to say. New Zealand is completely lost politically. Don't trust them now. Australia has cracked down on illegal immigration, but New Zealand still tries to subvert it. Australia still has a relatively bloated public sector. A lot more restructuring is still needed, but at least Aussie economy is strong. Thank you for that, Nick.
Oh, it was so much better to hear you say it like in an accent, mate. I'm just kidding. I found the video I wanted to show you. Why Brazilian women support... I think this might be the one that we were showing people.
This world-class beach is now party central for Brazil's far right. Weekly rallies here celebrate the movement's rising star and now future president, Jair Bolsonaro. If you know anything about Bolsonaro, you likely know that he's made some pretty outrageous remarks, such as calling a fellow lawmaker too ugly to rape,
Yeah, that was...
and supporting torture. Deport Bolsonaro. He's polarized the entire country, but women seem especially divided about him. His signature gun gesture here hints at a key reason why.
You know what? Before all this gun stuff, you used to be able to just do that.
Women
and nobody
marched against communist reforms.
said you were like
That
pro-gun.
set the stage for a military coup. 21 years of dictatorship followed. Hundreds of dissidents were killed and thousands were tortured. Jair Bolsonaro, a former army captain, is an open admirer of the dictatorship. His only criticism, they didn't kill enough people.
Now remember, we're going from communism to the dictatorship, and I think that that's where they keep going on. They're dictator, literally going from communism to a coup from communism, and then it actually goes into a socialist government, super socialist government, and he's bringing it back to a conservative government.
Well, what's fascinating to me is that they can't understand the evolution of coming out of something like that. Like, they expect you to be a 100% communist country, and then all of a sudden you're free capital, you say everything right, you're completely 100% moral, you don't ever say or do anything differently.
But the violence in the streets is what the people wanted somebody to come in and to as a hard line to say no more. We went to the street and asked the Brazilian army to take control of the country because basically it was run by gangs.
Today that's returned again because they're losing their children, because of all the crime.
Crime, and especially violent crime, is a huge problem in Brazil. Last year, nearly 64,000 people were murdered.
Look at that city. That's
Bolsonaro
incredible.
himself was stabbed in the stomach while campaigning. His popularity surged afterward. To understand how fear of crime is driving Bolsonaro's popularity, we went to meet Sarah Winter. She used to be a pro-choice activist.
Brent, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Now she's pro-life and describes herself as a cured feminist.
And that's the thing that when you hear people ripping Bolsonaro to shreds, he's not a perfect person. He's a lot like Trump, okay? But the movement behind him, he's representing Christians. And what's interesting about Brazil is that they have a huge Pentecostal Protestant movement of Christians. Okay, I know because when I was going to college, there was a lot of Brazilians there going to my Bible college. And so there's a huge move, again, of Christianity, of people praying, of lives that are changing. Here you have an ex-pro-choice, ex-feminist who are like, we want men to be men. Yeah. We want them to protect us. We want to stop the crime. We want our kids to be safe on the streets.
We want to not kill our babies.
Exactly.
A cured feminist.
We want Bolsonaro to be president of Brazil.
She's been mobilizing her Facebook followers to show their support for Bolsonaro.
And so after that, you've seen, this is in 2018, when you could still, I mean, even just a year ago, they were trying to, in October of 2018, she was getting the message out, and I'm sure that it's cracked down upon. We're the fascist women. We lived through a dictatorship, and I know it's not what everyone says. Us women, we would feel more secure in Bolsonaro if Bolsonaro runs the country. He protects women so much that he wants chemical castration for pedophiles and rapists.
Hot dog.
And just think about that for a second. This is what the women are saying. They're like, I want to feel safe. This guy makes me feel safe. He says, I'm going to go after... what he's saying is that crime will be extremely punished. Mm-hmm. Pedophiles and rapists, chemical castration. That's and that makes women and children feel safe.
Right.
And it makes them
and it
feminine
makes the crimes drop.
Exactly. Because it's perverted and it's evil.
Walking the streets of Rio, we hear similar views. Sofia Caputo voted for the left in the last 4 elections and now supports Bolsonaro.
Eu fico com medo de varrer a calçada, pra
I'm
ter ideia.
scared to sweep the sidewalk. I'm scared of being mugged.
Wow.
I was almost mugged once in front of my house. Women are dying, men are dying, children are dying. Stray bullets. We can't take it anymore. If dictatorship ends it, we welcome it. But it's not a dictatorship.
Now, they put that in brackets. Okay, obviously that's what she was referring to, but...
They said that.
They put that word in there.
If Bolsonaro...
She just said, if it ends it.
If it ends it, right.
To justify iron-fisted policing tactics.
So anyways,
part of a federal
you had a win. And that was a win for pro-life movement, for Christians.
What do you do? Here's my question. Okay, so and this is a
how do you
question.
take back the streets when 64,000 people are dying?
Yeah,
a year. You've got to crack down.
Right. Yeah. No, that was it. That was you just answered my question. So what I'm saying is the people giving him a hard time. I'm not saying that his answer is the answer. I'm not a world leader for a reason. Okay, I don't have the answer to that. But those that are giving him a hard time, are they stepping up with a better answer?
Exactly.
It's like the punishment needs to meet the crime.
Exactly.
And it needs to be done lawfully, and he's doing it too heavy-handedly, but something drastic needs to be done. Where are the naysayers that say, listen, you're right, your fervor is right, I know you want to do this, your heart is right. That tactic is morally a little bit heavy for a humane society, but this tactic is as equally effective. Try it. No one is stepping up and saying that.
All right, so let's go across the pond, okay, and I'm not hitting every country. There's a lot of countries.
Real quick, QWERTY Neil says, and I love this actually, that the feminist movement should be used in Islamic countries. Women aren't oppressed here in the United States.
Exactly.
So all the feminists, I believe, here in the States should go to Middle Eastern countries and start rallying and preaching their feminism there. I think that AOC would be a perfect candidate for that.
Yeah.
I think that the whole five there, Ilham Omar and all of them
moved away from
would
feminism.
be...
Feminism doesn't mean anything to them anymore.
Yeah.
All right, so as we're going on to Brexit and we're hitting Europe, okay, European news. I want to hit this article a little bit here from Breitbart, Dellingpool. The 2010s Merry Brexmas. Now that we're calling it Merry Brexmas, by the way, that's blinking here on Breitbart. The 2010s were the twilight of the elites. This was the decade of the twilight of the elites. From Brexit to the U.S. President Donald Trump, from Bolsonaro in Brazil to the people's revolutions that have swept Europe, the arrogant, the corrupt, the complacent political establishment of the old order, the old guard, fought desperately to uphold their rotten homogeny only to be crushed and schooled and humiliated to the point of a near irrelevance by a mighty wave of populism. And that's the word people are using. I wish they come up with different words, but we're just going to call populism as I pop out of my chair. Here are some key moments. We got Donald Trump's victory. I'm going to skip that one. We all know that. Nigel Farage. Okay, we know that.
I've got this speech here.
Project Fear.
When you're ready for it.
Donald Trump's tweets. Obama's red line. South America's Trump wins Brazil. The United Nations fails to stop climate change. People in this country have had enough of experts. British politician Michael Gove is right, of course. This is the decade which tested the notion of expertise to destruction. From the expert political analysis who told us that Brexit and a Trump presidency were an impossibility, to the scientific experts who kept insisting against all evidence that climate change was a deadly and unprecedented threat. From the media authorities who told us that Islam was a religion of peace and that anyone who... Can we say that? There we go, our channel. And that anybody who worried about irrelevant stuff like border security and immigration or national sovereignty was far right. To the medical experts who told us that there are definitely more than two genders. We finally realized that the expert class of supposedly trusted authority has in fact had most of its common sense educated out at the university. 17 different intelligence agencies. We talked about that with Donald Trump. Let's see, Boris Johnson versus Davos, the Davos party. Among Prime Minister Boris Johnson's first move on winning the recent general election with a much, much larger majority than had been predicted. was to ban his ministers from attending the annual Globalist World Economic Forum shindig in Davos. That is huge. He says, no, don't go there. We're not part of them.
Wow.
Awesome. Okay, so the biggest thing to shake Europe in a long time.
Nigel Farage.
May I introduce to you Nigel Farage?
That's not Nigel.
With
that's
an
a
ad.
commercial. With an ad. Sorry, it can't be.
What
helped.
are we selling today? Skip ad in 3, 2, 1.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Funny, isn't it? Funny, isn't it?
This was after the win of Brexit.
Yep.
Thank you very much for that very warm welcome. How things have changed.
Eine Sekunde bitte. Just a second, Mr. Farage.
Kolleginnen und Kollegen,
Ladies and gentlemen,
eine große Qualität der Demokratie
one
ist,
major
dass man auch
quality
denen
of
zuhört,
democracy is that you listen
deren Meinung man nicht
to
teilt.
those, even if you don't share their opinion.
That's right.
Well, thank you, Mr. Schultz. Isn't it funny? You know, when I came here 17 years ago, and I said that I wanted to lead a campaign to get Britain to leave the European Union, you all laughed at me. Well, I have to say, you're not laughing now, are you? And the reason you're so upset, the reason you're so angry, has been perfectly clear from all the angry exchanges this morning. You, as a political project, are in denial. You're in denial that your currency is failing. You're in denial. Well, just look at the Mediterranean. No. As a policy to impose poverty on Greece and the rest of the Mediterranean, you've done very well. And you're in denial over Mrs. Merkel's call last year for as many people as possible to cross the Mediterranean into the European Union has led to massive divisions between countries and within countries. But the biggest problem you've got, and the main reason the United Kingdom voted the way that it did, is you have, by stealth, by deception, without ever telling the truth to the British or the rest of the peoples of Europe, you have imposed upon them a political union. You've imposed upon them a political union. And when the people in 2005 in the Netherlands and France voted against that political union, when they rejected the Constitution, you simply ignored them and brought the Lisbon Treaty in through the back door. What happened last Thursday was a remarkable result. It was indeed a seismic result, not just for British politics, for European politics, but perhaps even for global politics too, because what the little people did, what the ordinary people did, what the people who have been oppressed over the last few years and seen their living standards go down, they rejected the multinationals, they rejected the merchant banks, they rejected big politics, and they said, actually, we want our country back, we want our fishing waters back, we want our borders back, we want to be an independent, self-governing, normal nation, and that is what we have done, and that is what must happen. And in doing so, we now offer a beacon of hope to Democrats across the rest of the European continent.
And it's
I'll
happened.
make one prediction this morning: the United Kingdom will not be the last member state to leave the European Union. So the question is, what do we do next? Now, it is up to the British government to invoke Article 50. And I have to say that I don't think we should spend too long in doing it. I totally agree, Mr. Juncker, that the British people have voted. We need to make sure that it happens. But what I would like to see is a grown-up and sensible attitude to how we negotiate a different relationship.
We didn't end up seeing that.
Now I know that virtually none of you have ever done a proper job in your lives.
The ladies behind him laughing.
She's my favorite. She's my favorite.
Or worked in business, or worked in trade, or indeed ever created a job. But listen. Just listen.
Herr Farage, Augenblick.
Mr. Farage, just a second.
Liebe Kolleginnen und Kollegen,
Ladies and
bei allem
gentlemen,
Verständnis für Ihre Aufregung,
I do
Sie
understand
benehmen
that
sich
you're
gerade wie
getting
UKIP sich
emotional, but
normalerweise hier
you're
in diesem
acting
Haus
like
benimmt.
UKIP
Also
normally acts in this chamber. So please,
kopieren Sie sie nicht. Herr
don't
Farage, ich
imitate
will Ihnen
them.
allerdings eins
Mr.
sagen. Ihre Äußerung,
Farage, however, I would say
dass
one
die
thing to
Kollegen hier in
you.
diesem Hause niemals einen ordentlichen Job gemacht
The
hätten. Sie
fact
müssen
that
nicht von
you're
sich auf andere
claiming
schließen. Das
nobody
geht
has
so
done
nicht.
a decent job in their life, you can't really say that. I'm sorry.
No, you're quite right, Mr. Schultz. UKIP used to protest against the establishment, and now the establishment protests against UKIP. So something has happened here.
It's a spin
Let
there,
us
baby.
listen
It's so
to some
good.
simple,
It's so good.
pragmatic economics. We,
I
between
wanna
us,
be like him.
between your countries and my country, we do an enormous amount of business in goods and services. That trade is mutually beneficial to both of us. That trade matters. If you were to decide to cut off your noses, to spite your faces, and to reject any idea of a sensible trade deal, the consequences would be far worse for you than it would be for us. And even no deal is better for the United Kingdom than the current rotten deal that we've got. But if we were to move to a position where tariffs were reintroduced on products like motor cars, then hundreds of thousands of German workers would risk losing their jobs. So why don't we just be pragmatic, sensible, grown up, realistic, and let's cut between us a sensible tariff-free deal, and thereafter recognise that the United Kingdom will be your friend, that we will trade with you, we will cooperate with you, we will be your best friends in the world. But do that, do it sensibly, and allow us to go off and pursue our global ambitions and future. Thank you.
So, one of the reasons why we gained so many British views to start with on Resistance Chicks, if we're looking back, and we are, was because we covered that that speech.
Yes. And where did we learn about covering that speech? He went on Alex Jones. Nigel Farage was on Alex Jones. And that's why I love Alex, is he told us all about this stuff. And I was so intrigued by what Nigel was doing. I was so intrigued by Brexit. And when we started to see some of these viral videos, and you started to Google Nigel Farage, and you started to see that he was standing up to this global elite, the same global elite that's been affecting us. It's the same elite. It's a globalist all over the globe. The globalist for a reason. It felt like a breath of fresh air, and the way he was able to spin, like you just saw. Hey, Mr. Farage, don't attack people, blah blah blah. And he says, "You're absolutely right." Now
so
you're
attacking. I want to show these guys just how to. If you want to see Resistance Chicks and Nigel Farage,
okay.
So this is one of the first videos that we had done. On Nigel, this was the "You're Not Laughing Now" one. It's a short clip. Here's another one that we did. This one had almost 53,000 views so far. I still get comments on this, by the way, from people. We've got the ones where we called in to Nigel Farage here. We've got some more recent ones. Our call into Nigel has had over 3,000 views. So just different ones that we've done. We called into the Nigel Farage show over the Tony Blair attending the War Memorial, and we put that on there. So you can literally just go to our YouTube channel and go to this search bar right here and enter in Nigel Farage or any other topic that you would like to see if we've talked about or covered. And do you need that over that far?
No.
Okay. And you can we have, I don't even know how many. Let me take you here to the studio here. Let's see if it'll tell me how many videos we have. I think we have close to over 3,000 videos on our, let's see, channel. It should tell me. It's not telling me. But anyway, we have over 3,000 videos. So if you're just joining us, you've been watching us maybe the past year, we probably have 2,000 more videos. I don't know. We have a ton of content, and you can find it all in that search box on our YouTube until we get taken off, and then they're all gone.
So where is it? Where are we at? Kidding. Where are we at right now? We have had what was it? It was so funny. The 12 days of Brexmas, talking about just trying to get through Brexit was watching you guys do that with You lost a prime minister. You've had
that wasn't much of a
three different
loss.
major votes. No, I mean, but it is a big deal. It was a big deal. Just so many different things going on. It was such a fight. But where are you at right now? Farage says, Boris needs to be tough in the coming negotiations, but Britain is now headed in the right direction. The United Kingdom has turned a corner under Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Brexit leader Nigel Farage has said as he has reflected on what awaits the nation in 2020. Long-time pro-independence campaigner and Brexit frontman Nigel Farage, who was snubbed for official recognition for his enormous impact on British politics in the New Year's honours list, despite widespread speculation that he would be knighted, was full of praise for the Prime Minister, but warned he would have to negotiate hard in the coming year. Speaking to British talk show on LBC, Mr. Farage said Boris Johnson was talking with a lot more positivity, I think, about Brexit and Britain's future, and said that while it was on balance unlikely the European Union would move to fully obstruct the United Kingdom in 2020, they also don't want to see the country become an economic competitor on their doorstep. And he says it's likely to go to the wire. I don't think the European Parliament is going to vote on this until the 30th of January, so there's going to be some brinksmanship going on there. Ultimately, I think they will support this, and if they didn't, goodness, we will be in for a fascinating 24 hours, but Boris just simply have to leave. So it's very exciting, but I think he says that you guys are on the right track. Seeing the speeches of Nigel in Parliament the past 3 years has been amazing. Seeing that right before 2020 that you guys elected in this majority, this Brexit majority, that you get to end on this huge high note, and with that, it's I think this would be kind of funny to share. Let's see. I think is it? Oh, here we go. 12 months of Brexmas, 1 election, 2 prime minister, and 3 Brexit delays. It's been a year of Brexit battles these past 12 months, but it finally looks like the end is near and the United Kingdom will leave the EU. More than 3.5 years after the historic referendum. In keeping with the Christmas season, Breitbart London has 12 months of Brexmas. 1 general election. On the first day of Brexmas, the voters gave to me an 80-seat Tory majority.
That's really good.
So, after 1 referendum, a 2017 general election where 91% of the seats were won by parties that pledged to respect the referendum result, a win for the Brexit Party in the European Parliament elections, and a 2019 general election that delivered the stonking majority for the pro-Brexit Tories, it is safe to say that the two remainers that yes, the Brexit question is settled.
Done.
Even Remainer zealot Tony Blair was forced to admit that Britain will leave the EU, saying the election settled the debate on Brexit and that now that Brexit will happen, we must make the best of it and the country must come together. Prime Minister Boris Johnson had called the election, we talked about that, to clear out the Parliament of Remainers so he could pass his Brexit legislation and deliver Brexit by the deadline of January 31st, 2020. So you had 2 prime ministers. Remainer voter turned very reluctant Brexit Prime Minister Theresa May was the last candidate standing when appointed leader of the Conservative Party in 2016, after failing to pass her unpopular withdrawal agreement with the EU 3 times at the beginning of the year, delaying Brexit twice. And we're leaving on the 29th of March. We're leaving on Halloween. We're leaving on June. In June, and surviving a no confidence vote, Zombie May finally resigned in June. Boris Johnson, who once called May's deal a turd, big turd, helped lead the pro-Brexit Vote Leave campaign group in 2016, won the ballot to succeed her as party leader and prime minister in July. You guys had 3 Brexit delays. You had Tory rebels.
That was 4. We're doing the 12 days of Christmas.
4 Tory rebels. 5 fruitless Brexit deal votes. 6 weeks till Brexit technically. 7 times Bercow exposes anti-Brexit bias. 8 court challenges. 9 Brexit boosts. 10 whips restored. 11 TI jeers. 12 a very Brexit Christmas. Okay, this one is a little bit of a cheat, but after 12 months of anti-Brexit plotting and shenanigans, it's important to put on one chorus of this song aside to sit back and breathe a sigh of relief until 2020, when Remainers will likely try to find new ways to stop the UK leaving the EU. What better Christmas could a Brexiteer ask for than a Prime Minister with a stonking majority who had promised to deliver Brexit? So I thought you guys would enjoy this. This is you guys have a very funny way of doing things in the UK where you like to mix. I love the Great British Baking Show, by the way. It's one of my favorite.
I do too. Oh my gosh, we love that show.
So Boris Johnson mixes up baking shows and Brexit in a Christmas video.
Hello everybody, today we're going to make that festive family favourite, the Christmas mince pie, and I'm joined by the dynamic baking duo.
It sounds just like
Boris and Stanley.
So what
that's his dad.
We're going to start with the...
That's his dad.
Okay. You're going to put that into your bowls.
Yep.
And then you guys are both going to cube your butter. So do you both eat mince pies at Christmas?
Yeah. Well, I can remember when Boris, what was that comment? You had a competition.
Yeah, that's right. A chap bet me that I couldn't eat a mince pie in 5 seconds flat. What he didn't point out was that the interior of the mince pie was scalding hot.
No, but you ate it.
I did.
The point is, you ate it while it was scalding
got
hot.
that mince pie done.
Get it done.
I get it.
The whole thing is an extended metaphor. What you have here is a series of ingredients, some of which are more disparate and diffuse, like the flour or the sugar or whatever that is, and icing sugar. And what you need is a binding element there, like the egg, which will bring it all together. And actually, I think about the things that bring our country together. I'd say the NHS is pretty cohesive, as it acts as something.
You would say extraordinary.
It is extraordinary.
So what is your favourite family Christmas film?
Well, mine would be Home Alone.
I haven't seen Home Alone, but I think the Great Escape.
Oh, yeah, that's a Brexit metaphor.
You've never seen Home Alone?
I've never seen Home Alone. But the Great Escape, of course, contains a very important message, which is you try, and then finally get out on.
You try.
First. That's what we're going to do. Okay. This is a very good metaphor. Because the thing about the United Kingdom is that talent and genius is distributed evenly, but opportunity is unevenly distributed. So what we need to do is distribute the opportunity evenly.
Where do you think this country will be next Christmas?
I think
apart from rejoicing in this recipe.
It will be able to unite and level up the whole of the country with infrastructure, education, and high technology, and take this country forward.
And
investing in the NHS, investing in our public services, putting 20,000 police on the streets, unblocking Parliament, and
mince pies for everyone.
And mince pies for everyone.
So let us unleash these bases onto your butter thing.
Come on.
You pile some meat into them, but not meat. Well, yes.
Mince meat. You like one spoon? I would slap it all in. I would give it lashings.
What do you think the likelihood of a trade deal is for these Wilson and Son mince pies?
I think these have a massive export potential. I think they are the most unattractive looking mince pies I've ever seen. I think they are. Ready? Here we go. This is it. Here we go. Oven ready.
And in they go.
In they go.
Raisins.
Terrific.
Like cognac.
Out before Christmas. Very good. Thank you very much.
That is hilarious. So I thought you guys might enjoy that. I also
really fun.
John Bercow. We started our show. One of our favorite things to do, and you guys even sent us a John Bercow face
which I can't find, by the way. I need to.
But this is from
somewhere.
This is Boris Johnson paying tribute to Mr. Speaker John Bercow in kind of a tongue-in-cheek way. But I want to play this as well. I'm gonna miss Bercow, and I wish he was a little bit more right-leaning because I enjoy his the way he talks. It's so fun and funny. But here we go.
Sat up there in your high chair, and not just as an umpire, ruthlessly adjudicating on the finer points of parliamentary procedure with your trademark Tony Montana scowl, Mr. Speaker. Not just as a commentator, offering your own opinions on the rallies you are watching, sometimes acerbic and sometimes kindly, but above all as a player in your own right, peppering every part of the chamber with your own thoughts and opinions, like some tennis ball machine, some uncontrollable tennis ball machine, Mr. Speaker, delivering a series of literally unplayable, unreturnable, formally unreturnable volleys and smashes. And although we may disagree about some of the legislative innovations that you have favoured, there is no doubt in my mind that you have been a great servant of this Parliament and of this House of Commons. You have modernised, you have widened access, you have cared for the needs of those with disabilities, and you have cared so deeply for the rights of backbenchers that you've done more than anyone since Stephen Hawking to stretch time in this particular session. And as we come to the end of what must be the longest retirement since Frank Sinatra, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure the whole House will want to join me in thanking you and hoping that you enjoy in your retirement the soothing medicament that you have so often described for the rest of us.
You have to admit that the one thing that the Brits have is humor that is really great. That you're not going to see any of that in the U.S. Senate. Or
yeah.
House.
All right. So, ooh, loud. So we could spend all day on Brexit in the UK, but I want to kind of go over here and talk about the Yellow Vest movement, which we covered a whole lot of. The movement there. Marine Le Pen was huge in this decade, and she still is big. There's a fight back and again. I want you guys to pray and continue on fighting for France. Yeah. Here's a video. Yellow Vest protest in March for the last March. Yellow Vest protesters march in Paris for the last time this year. Now again, why is this a populist movement? These are, there's a lot of reasons behind this movement, but I guarantee you that it is an anti-Macron, government protest, and I'm hoping that when they see another election, that they might, think to themselves, well, I probably should have voted in Marine Le Pen's party. Right. And if I had done so, you might not be here today. But remember, you didn't have these same... the Yellow Vest movement was created as a result of the socialist principles, the Macron government, the EU principle, the ideas that you can just kind of usher people in and control how they live and give them and keep them on the payroll for. So
they are fed up, and what's fascinating about the Yellow Vest movement that started in France for one reason has spread to different movements around the world where people
and it's more of a populist movement. It's not necessarily a young movement. It's people who just want their rights back. You can see, the retirement money that you get. In the socialist government, they say, well, we're going to take care of you in retirement. They're not being taken care of. It started with one little thing. It started with a tax on gas. Right. And that was enough. And that's the idea. Stop taxing us to death. And you're not giving us enough of our money back to even live on.
A lot of these people have like $400 a month to live on.
Exactly.
Like, you tell me, even if the government pays for your health care, and even if they paid for 100% of your housing,
and yet people who
that's not enough money for
people who are in the European Union, in the Parliament, and those leaders, they have tons of money,
right?
And things like that. So,
the price of goods.
I think I have this. Is you guys are gonna love. Barry sent me this. No,
pretty soon I'll have to go, and we'll both have to go. So you got to wrap it up.
A couple more minutes here, yeah.
Like
5. Okay, 5 more minutes. We're going to do Hungary and Poland in 5 minutes. All right, so here are all of the people in Britain that lost their seats. Big people that I saw on TV. I don't know who these people are. But I saw these people interviewed all the time. That guy was just being interviewed with Rees-Mogg, but he's not a parliamentarian anymore. These people lost their seats.
Labour Party members.
And then we have, Joe Swinson from the Lib Dems. You guys know who these people are. But I know it means something to you. They snubbed you. I think he was one of the Brexiteers, unfortunately. But I'm not sure if he was. Okay, so ending here. If we can't talk about the big switch if we don't talk about Hungary and Poland.
Right.
And what we've seen here in Hungary and Poland, I got this. You've got Viktor Orban and the Polish government coming together. They have been, this year we've seen them roll out incentives for families, for starting children, ads. Both of them, both Hungary and Poland, came out with ads. Have more babies for your country.
And you all should do that too. Nom Nom is here in the chat. They just had a baby. Congratulations.
Hungarian government, Christian culture attacked across Europe and the world. The Hungarian government has warned that Christians and Christianity are increasingly being driven out of public life in Europe, as well as being persecuted around the world more viciously than any other religious minority. And this is where I want to get to. It's this Christian principle. This is what they're doing. They are using the gospel to push back. Poland and Hungary, in different ways, are using the gospel. Some years ago in Brussels City Hall, it was decided not to set a Christmas tree. And in Santa Monica, California, a ban on nativity screening was made on the grounds of world neutrality, says Tristan Azbed, the Hungarian state secretary with particular responsibility for the Hungary Helps program, which extends aid to Christian minorities globally. And comments reported by the Hungarian press. Meanwhile, in Germany, Christian songbooks have been burned, and in France, churches have been attacked every year. And Christian symbols and religious objects have been damaged, such as the crucifixion. Christianity is the most persecuted religion, with about 250 million Christians worldwide being persecuted or discriminated against, and thousands of people were killed last year because of their Christian beliefs. The Hungarian government, on the other hand, is committed to the protection of Christian culture and strengthens it in the world by inter alia, combating migration. They hope that over time Europe will realize the importance of this. The Hungary Helps program is not, as Bej indicates, primarily concerned with helping Christian minorities in the Middle East and elsewhere to migrate to the West, a process which has seen the Christian populations in countries like Syria and Iraq collapse, but to help them where they are. They're not helping them migrate. They want to help them where they are in order to preserve their ancient communities and their way of life for posterity. Hungary Helps has supported so far Christian communities by more than $35 million, provided scholarships, helped 70,000 refugees to return to their ancestral homes. So there we have that. I wanted to make a note real quickly that the Pope snubs Hong Kong in its Christmas message and says, "I can't wait to go visit Beijing." So you see the globalist communists there, and we'll cover that another time. Also in Hungary, Hungary decries 11 Christians are murdered every day, and you just see this big push to help Christians and that's what they're using as the gospel for protection. Hungary's Orban Christian persecution is an organized attack on an entire culture. Prime Minister Viktor Orban told a packed hall in this November in the capital of Hungary, it is proud of its Christian heritage and will do all in its power to defend its Christian identity. We are proud that our King Saint Stephen built the Hungarian state on solid ground and made our country a part of a Christian Europe 1,000 years ago. We recognize the role of Christianity in preserving nationhood. The Prime Minister said Saint Stephen, our first Christian king, was an enlightened monarch, a visionary who wrote a guide, and this was talking about step one, remember the past, the past, who wrote a guide for his son Emmerich called Admonitions, and that we Hungarians read as a personal message to each of us, both as a nation and as individuals. Find your historic people who've been praying for you, who sowed seeds for you. And it has been a source of our strength and flourishing. Along with urging him to preserve the Christian faith, the admonitions also contain precious counsel for good citizenship and good government. Be merciful to all who are suffering violence, keeping always in your heart the example of our Lord, who said, "I desire mercy and not sacrifice." Be patient with everyone, not only with the powerful, but also with the weak. Finally, be strong lest prosperity lift you up too much or adversity cast you down. Be humble in this life that God may raise you up to the next, raise you up in the next. This is the power. If you want to know what is going on, where is it? Victor Orban just gave you the message. Yeah. This is the message. Yeah. It's the same message that the Pilgrims gave. Okay? This is the message. This is the hope that's going out. This is the light that's lighting up people, and it lit up. And the devil has been attacking you and saying, no, no, no. So he's been trying to shut us down on the internet. He's trying to jail people for speaking out free speech. That had other articles like, is this the year, is 2020 going to be the year where we get the genders back? Okay? Have they gone too far? Right. The devil went too far. The devil went too far. And it drew out Christians out of the closet. Christians who have just been praying on their knees. I said, I have to make a stand. In his speech, broken up periodically by enthusiastic applause, the leader echoed words written by Pope John Paul II in the year 2000 to commemorate the 1000th anniversary of Hungary as a Christian nation. When St. Stephen wrote his admonitions for his son Emmerich, was he speaking only to him? Said the Polish Pope. Did he not write the Polish Pope, right, in Hungary? This is a brotherhood, by the way. A brotherhood. He left you the spiritual testament, a heritage of fundamental and indestructible values, the true house built upon the rock.
Amen.
Viktor Orban said that despite its small size, Hungary has an important mission to play in this world, and wherever you are, you have an important mission to play in this world. Hungarians make up only 0.02% of the world's population, so how much difference can it make? Is it worth it? He then proceeded to invoke the historical example of the 12 apostles, who changed the world by their Christian witness to the death and resurrection of Jesus. Standing up for our persecuted brothers and sisters engenders encourage in ourselves and others. That was step 4. Stand up for your brothers and sisters. Have compassion on others. This is the power that you had when we raised aid to persecuted Christians to the level of a government ministry. A government ministry. We gotta protect Christians. We gotta protect the Christian culture. This is the power that a 0.02% of the population of the world can have. Okay? When your government, this is the difference between having a government from the top down and Christianity from the bottom up. It's when Christian principles, when people get in and they enact Christian principles, they enact love, they enact mercy and grace and truth. Who would have known it would grow and influence others? Mr. Orban also shared some sobering facts about the extent of the real-world drama. 4 out of 5 people persecuted for their faith are Christians, and some 245 million Christians around the globe suffer extreme persecution. And Viktor Orban has made it his mission to not be politically correct. And this is another article where he tells the new Austrian government that should reject political Islam. He drew the line in the sand, and because he's in Hungary and he's the prime minister, he's not censored, and everybody in Hungary can say what they want about political Islam, which we can't, but they can in Hungary. Isn't that fantastic? So he's saying it like it is, and he hopes the next Austrian government would reject political Islam. So in Austria, they're kind of on the fence there, but they're leaning way more towards the Hungarian side of thinking than the German side. The meeting comes only weeks after Austria held its polls. So here's the picture here. He also went on to say that the Hungarian government did not want to interfere with Austrian election. And so then we have, lastly but not leastly, Spain. Little socialist Spain. The Vox Party rose to power on the same principles. The Vox Party this year took 52 seats in Congress on Sunday, outstripping most forecasts and representing a major increase on the 24 seats it held previously. Vox, anti-illegal immigration, nationalism, tougher controls on immigration. I believe that they're pro-life, pro-Christian, pro-family, and we see this, quote, rise of nationalism in Europe, percentage of the votes here in Europe, the rise in we're going to call it nationalism. Number 1, I believe it's like Hungary, or number 1 is Poland. Number 2 is Hungary here. Number 3, it looks like populism, nationalism, Hungary, Austria, Switzerland, Denmark, Belgium, Estonia, Finland, France, Netherlands, Germany, Czech Republic, Bulgaria, Slovenia, Poland. I don't know what those numbers are.
Lola Bell's on Periscope says,
elections.
I have never been prouder to be Polish. I agree. Good for Hungary. Wow, that's amazing. Imagine that. I sure hope America follows suit.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
So you have 2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes.
You already had
Poland.
12.
Poland.
Okay.
Populist top Poland vote, expand majority welfare and family values. Poland's governing right-wing party took the lead, and they the Sunday's election. They ran on families. They ran on putting families first. They ran on Jesus is king.
Yeah.
And I wanted to put that Poland says LGBT ideology is a threat to our nation. Triumph for traditionalism. Polish government increases. So you can go to Breitbart and read a lot of these great articles. And both Hungary and Poland are actually financially incentivizing people. And in Italy, oh my gosh, last country, Italy. Okay, Salvini was on the rise, and they had a coalition government. And he put a crackdown on immigration. He's so popular now. Italy is kind of one of those dots, okay? Because Salvini had to step down because there was a different coalition made, a super leftist coalition made in Italy.
But the people haven't changed. That was in the government.
From what I'm reading, 2020 and January and February, there are certain votes and certain court things that are happening that could cause the left-wing government to collapse in Italy, okay? So I want you to keep an eye on Salvini and an eye on Italy, because the populism and the support for Salvini is bigger and stronger. And sometimes you could say, like Donald Trump, impeach Donald Trump, he gets more powerful, more popular than ever. Right. Salvini is more popular than ever. And so 2020 and beyond, you're going to see Italy take a huge step forward and gain control again over Europe in a powerful, godly way. But there's a demonic forces there with the Pope and against the Christian, the real Christianity, that Salvini has real Christianity. He wants to protect family values. He wants to protect women and children. I think if you have 3 kids, then you can have like a loan forgiven. They're given,
it's incredible.
Poland and Hungary and Italy, they're all given some sort of like loans for homes. And Russia. Loans for homes. If you're a mother and you have like 3 kids, you never have to pay, and one of them you never have to pay income tax again. It's absolutely crazy. And in Italy, it's new kids. So if you have kids, you don't get the special. They want you to have more kids, and we don't want to grow through mass migration and things like that. So guys, no song today. This is our song. Our song is use the gospel as protection.
Barry had requested Old Lang Syne. If we do a New Year's Eve special, we will sing it then.
Yeah. We gotta go.
We will open your card, Wicked Psyched, on the New Year's Eve special, because we have dogs that are waiting to go outside. That's why we have to hurry. Party! Okay. That's what's gonna happen in 2020. A party. We love you guys. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it is not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. Like our page, comment. We want to hear from you guys. We love hearing from you guys. There are many comments I haven't had a chance to go and read yet, but there were a lot of really good ones from our Christmas special and stuff, so it really does encourage us. So thank you.
At the end, we didn't get to cover Sweden and the bombings, and if they just need to wake it up and the Denmark saying, hey, stop with the bombings, and it's just absolutely amazing what's happening in poor Canada. You got Justin Trudeau. Come back to us when you vote him out.
Oh my gosh. So we have a P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. If you send us your letters, we will read them on air. So please do that.
Canada still needs a little bit more of they're too nice. Their Christians are too nice.
Yeah.
They're Christians. Canadian Christians. You can get your country back.
Right.
Okay.
So if we did do a New Year's Eve special, do you want to ring in the New Year with them? No. It would we would maybe ring it in, and like friends of ours are doing a Greenland New Year where they ring it in when Greenland goes at 9:00.
Yeah.
So that could be fun. All right, we love you guys. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory. If it's the truth. We'll see you back later this week.
We do such worldwide news. It will be New Year's somewhere.
Yeah. We'll just ring it in like on the hour, whatever hour that is. So.
Happy New Year to
Happy New Year coming.
Poland.
Say prayer for our Uncle Jack, who is having a heart surgery on Monday. Just a little, I call it the rotor-rooter. It's a rotor blade or something like that. They're going to put a couple stents in. So we love you guys, and we will see you later this week. And if not on New Year's Eve, probably New Year's Day, but for sure on Friday at 6 p.m. and next Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Woo woo.
God bless, guys.
name.